When I got into lifting, like probably around 12 years ago now, when I was around like 16 years old, I feel like everything was just so much more simple. Like everything, nothing was like complicated. It was, you just need to like be eating enough protein. You need to go to the gym, do your thing, and you just need to be like sleeping enough. And I just feel like everything back then was so much more simple than it is now. Like growing up into like my fitness journey, probably like 5 years into it, everything just got so much more complicated. Like all these different fitness influencers were telling you all like different information. I mean, to this day, even. But it's like they're always following the studies, right? Like it's always about the studies. It's always about what some scientist says about it. Um, and then even then, they can't even like go by what their study is because it's like it's like the studies make money for them, and I'll kind of get into more of why they can't even stick by it later in the video. But it it very quickly, like the fitness industry very quickly, I feel like devolved from like these bare bones things that like worked for a lot of people, and then it just like it went into this like tree branch kind of thing of like complexity, like functional training, which is a fucking bullshit thing. Um, like fasted cardio and like all these different like methods and these different diets of like keto and like all these different things where it just seems so pedantic. It seems so excessive. It just seems so overcomplicated. So for me, and what's been crucial for me in my way of doing things is I kind of stuck to those bare bone tenets of like getting enough sleep at night, eating enough protein, eating enough calories to like actually, put yourself like in a caloric surplus, and go into the gym and doing your best in the gym. Like for one thing that like I didn't even fucking hear of until when I started working at the gym, when I used to work at a gym for years up until I worked at that gym. It was always like train to failure, like train as hard as you can. And then I get to the gym and like I'm hearing like, you want to train one rep in reserve. And, me going into it with these bare bone tenets of like what's always worked for me. Um, like a couple of my coworkers were talking about like training one rep in reserve, two rep in reserve. And I was like, what the hell is that? So I went and I did my own research, and it's like intentionally training until like you have like one or two left in the tank, but you like purposefully stop. And I thought that was like, to this day, I think it's just the dumbest thing ever because like no matter how good at managing your fatigue you think you are, like why wouldn't you just train as hard as you can? Because like if you're under managing your fatigue, and like it's much more likely to me that someone won't train enough, or like won't train close enough to failure, then they've trained beyond it and they're going to overtrain and it's going to negatively affect what they're doing. um, and that's just one example of like something that just kind of came out of nowhere to me. um, and now it's all about like whatever the study says. And the problem with that is like you might watch one fitness influencer who preaches one thing and he's like, "Oh, well the studies say that the incline bench that the flat bench press activates the fibers of the your mid chest 15% more than your incline than an incline press does." And then you might have another influencer that you watch that says, "Oh, well, the newest study that I saw says that, if you do incline bench press, all three fibers are worked at 12%, and you want to get a more overall developed chest, then you need to do the incline press. And then, the first guy might come out with a study after that saying the exact opposite of that. And then you're just left there like, well, who the fuck's telling the truth? And, how were these studies conducted to where it's like, and that's one thing I think is just like, excuse me for 1 second. I gotta take a giant swig out of my tank. So that's another thing is like, you don't know how these studies are run. Like you can go into the study and you can fucking read the 30 fucking pages of it if you want. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go in and like read an entire. And now I know there's the summary and everything, and like, some people watching this some people might be watching this being like, oh, he doesn't want to look at studies. He doesn't want to be educated. I don't believe in like these niche, like kind of out of the way, like unnecessary studies that just like, this exercise is 0.025% more efficient than this exercise. It's just so like unnecessary, and you're putting so much like time and effort into optimizing what you're doing instead of just going and doing the thing and like just going to the gym and working hard. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated if you don't want it to be complicated. Because it's like back then, and I have a fucking list here. It's like back then, it's like you eat well, you sleep, you train hard, you're done. Now it's, let me get up my list. Now it's optimal rep ranges, cold plunges, red light therapy, blood glucose monitors, intra-workout supplements, biohacking, carb timing, fasted cardio. I mean, can I get a fucking... Like, who the hell is keeping track, or, like, I don't even know what half of that shit is, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I don't even fucking know what half of that stuff is. And that's another thing, too, is, like, I preach what I preach, and my tenets have remained the same for the entire life of my YouTube channel. Like, if you go back to my first shittiest videos where it's recorded from my webcam and it sounds like it's coming through a cheese grater, I am talking about tracking your calories. I'm talking about being in a caloric surplus. Excuse me. I'm talking about being in a caloric surplus. I'm talking about being in a deficit for losing weight. Like, I'm preaching the same stuff that from the beginning of my channel to this day that has worked for me and has worked for my clients that I work with. And I might title a video, Track Your Calories. And that's what the video is going to be talking about. That's like as interesting as the title's going to get. But, these influencers out here, they want to make titles like, oh, this fitness hack to lose weight and get a 6-pack in 6 weeks. Like, they clickbait the title, they make it like as interesting as possible to some like impossible metric, like get a 6-pack in a month. And like, that's kind of, as you train more and as you like get more acclimated to the fitness internet environment, you're gonna kind of start to be able to ask yourself the right questions. And that's kind of like an actionable step that I'm going to give you at the end of this video. So we know, excuse me for a second. So we know that, so like I was saying before, we know that more complex titles get more clicks. and that's kind of the trap that I got myself into when I first started lifting. Or not when I first started lifting, but when things started to get more complicated, more complex, like all these fitness influencers were like releasing all this different kind of stuff. I went really hard into like the optimization. Like I went really hard into like, oh well, what are the best supplements I need to be taking? Because like I want to get as big as like Sam Sulek. Like what supplements do I need to take? What is the best training routine? Like I'm gonna look roided up if I just like get the best training routine. And like that's not how it works. Like you're not gonna fucking blow up 70 pounds of muscle if you're just like on the right routine, as opposed to like if you're on like a mid routine and then you go to like a really good routine, it's not just going to give you 70 pounds of muscle. Like that's just not how it works. I wish that's how it worked, because if that were the case, I might be competing in some natty shows, but that's not how it works. um, to kind of segue off of that, the only supplements I'm currently taking are like protein powder when I make protein shakes. I'm taking creatine, and I take like a multivitamin, like vitamin D or something like that. Yeah, I just take like a vitamin D supplement, not a multivitamin, but just vitamin D. Um, that's like the extent of my supplements. It's like creatine, vitamin D, oh, and fish oil. That's that's another thing. It was like just for like I guess like general brain health, and no, I don't eat a lot of fish in my diet, so it's like a good just like roundabout way to get those kinds of oils in. So fish oil, vitamin D, because like I have an inside job, creatine, just 3 supplements. And there's just like there are so many, like there's millions of supplements out there where they will like swear it will like make you walk on water like Jesus. And that is just not the way that it works. Like they would advertise it like that. Um, but it's not worth it. And I've done the research. I've like really looked into what would work for me. And if you follow along with me and you want to do those types of supplements, that's really just it's what I preach. It's like the bare bones, like I take the vitamin D for myself, like that's just what I am looking to do. Really for the bare bones of like training, I would tell someone to just get protein powder for if you need like a quick protein fix, like a quick protein shake, and creatine. Those are like the two things that I would say like really are gonna help your training. Like fish oil, like not really that much. Like you're kind of just a min maxer at that point. I'm kind of a min maxer. Um, so not like the greatest, but I take it for me, and I take the vitamin D for me. But like you see some people taking like 10 different supplements, and then like they got like don't even get me started on like not natty people. Like they get like the gear, then they get like the shit to not have them develop gyno. Then they have like 3 other things they need to be taking to counteract negative side effects, and it's just like they're a walking pharmacy at that point, and that's just not what I want for myself. So obviously I don't do that. But yeah. So it's like what I had to learn for myself, and what actionable step I'll give to you is when a new way of doing something is introduced to you, you just kind of have to ask yourself immediately, like, does this seem too good to be true? And if you ask yourself that, if you need to ask yourself that, and it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Um, and if it, like, do your own research. Like, don't even watch this video and just take everything that I have to say. Like I told you in this video, like I take creatine, I take, you know, fish oil, I take vitamin D, but that doesn't mean that, you just order it all and just start taking it. Like do your own research. Like creatine might not be what you want, you know? It's always good to have like opinions. Like it's worked for me. my protein powders obviously worked for me. Um, I haven't really been taking vitamin D for so long, so I can't really speak to vitamin D yet. But what works for me works for me, and you are your own best researcher and scientist. And I think personal experience will always trump whatever the next study says that is conflicting with another study that was done like a month ago. So it's like, just do your own research, do your own thing, stick to the basic tenets of like fitness, of like just become consistent on the basics before you try all these new different like fads and trends and shit. Because if you're always on and off of these trends, it's just going to make it less sustainable. You're not going to be doing the things that really matter. And that's what I preach in my training. So if you want my help with any of that, or you want my help personally, my links are going to be in the description below. You have it in you to be great, and you are your own scientist, so do your own research. Don't say I didn't warn you when somebody comes out with another study. Goodbye.